Welcome back. You've tuned in to NSE Finwiz powered by CNBC TV 18 and we're in conversation with Roongta and Finwiz. Now, without further ado, let me throw the spotlight onto a very important question that arises amongst every young professional's mind. How do you understand the pay slip, especially when you're talking to your HR about structuring that salary? How do you go about structuring that salary wisely to ensure that you are eligible for all the tax deductions, really?
I think most large companies, there is not too much of an element of structuring that they would allow. But some of the simpler things, for example, if you're staying with your parents, right, and your parents are not earning, let's just assuming that your parents themselves don't pay high tax, then you can actually, anyway you contribute to the household expenditure. Instead of contributing it from your post-tax income, you contribute it as rent to them. They will not get taxed in their hands because they don't have taxable income, and you will get a deduction or exemption. Another thing that you could now look at, and it's slightly controversial, which probably might come up later in the program, is that should you ask your employer to contribute to the NPS directly, right? Now, up to 10% of the contribution to the NPS by the 10% of your basic contributed by the employer is not taxed in your hands. That's an option that you could look at if your employer allows you that option.
Fair enough. Now, how do you actually look at planning tax for the financial year? How soon do you start? Because usually it's March, February. When do you actually
From
begin?
1st April and now whenever you get the new pay slip from first day onwards. By those simple restructuring, actually you have planned and saved a lot of tax or planned your tax saving much better. 2, inevitably what happened, we even file the income tax return on the last day. Okay, this is typically happens, isn't it? Because we are running, we are busy in our day-to-day activity, it leaves less time. But actually this is coming at the cost of money. 2, in the last moment, inevitably you will buy an insurance for tax saving or invest in a product which is not very productive.
Okay, if I can ask you to compare, because a lot of us begin investing when you look at how to save on taxes, right? If I ask you to compare between, say, an ELSS or investing into infra bonds or investing into like a PPF account, what would you actually say ranks, 1, 2, 3, 4 even?
If you invested in PPF over the last 15 years, PPF is a 15-year product, and today suppose you are trying to withdraw, you would have got approximately 34.5 lakh rupees. If you invested the same amount of 1 lakh in an equity linked savings scheme over the last 15 years, what would have been the return amount? Any guess for that? 60
Lakh.
Who said 80?
1 crore.
Approximately a crore. The worst performing ELSS scheme would have been at about 50 lakh rupees.
Let me in fact throw the spotlight on a query raised by Siddhant Mishra, who's the Associate Consultant in the Oracle Transportations Management Department at KPIT. Now, very clearly would like to know what kind of investment options should he consider, especially if at all in the mutual fund and equity market, when he wants to save taxes but minimize any risk at the same time.
See, just to make it a little bit mutual fund simple, and I've used the baking example. Now suppose if I go to a pastry shop, I like a beautiful cake and that cake is 1000 rupees and I only have got 100 rupees in my pocket. Okay, and still I want to eat it. What do? I go convince 10 of my friends, okay, let's pool it 100 rupees each, okay, make it 1000 rupees, buy the cake, divide it into 10 pieces and eat it. That's what mutual fund gives you. It can allow you to invest with a small amount of money. Coming back to your tax example, tax saving. Tax saving, there's only one product which is called equity linked saving schemes. Okay. Please do not confuse with ULIP or insurance scheme. It's a mutual fund scheme, equity linked saving schemes. Now, if you invest for a period of 3 years, as I said, the probability of making money is only 78%. But if you increase the time horizon 5, 7, 10 years, most likely you will create a huge amount of wealth and you will save tax also.
Let me quickly draw the spotlight on your 80 deductions that we were mentioning earlier. And a lot of people here want to know, for example, Neeraj Chaudhary from the Financial IES Oracle Department, very clearly is insurance, life and medical, mandatory as a tool for investing, and what would you have to look at when you consider either investing into life insurance or medical insurance?
Yes, okay. See, life insurance is a income replacement strategy. Okay. God forbid something happens to you. If you have a responsibility of family, children and all, it should be taken as a pure life insurance. Do not make insurance and investment together. It's like drinking and driving. It doesn't go well. Okay. So what happens? Insurance, you should buy only term insurance. Now coming back to a health insurance aspect, a lot of us, we do a mistake, especially working with corporates. You get a corporate insurance cover, group medical insurance.
Yeah.
And inevitably, you do a mistake of not buying a health insurance cover at an early stage. Okay? The more you buy at that early stage, the more beneficial for you.
The focus was on taxation and financial planning, but now it's time to slip into a quick break right here on NSE Finwiz. But come back, we have a whole host of personal finance queries to answer on the other side. We're back on NSE Finwiz, powered by CNBC TV 18 at KPIT in Noida, where we have a whole host of personal finance queries that will be answered by Tanveer Alam and Roongta. Now, let me throw the floor open to questions. What would you like our experts to answer on how exactly to manage your money?
Hi, this is Ompreet. I want to ask a question regarding home loan repayment. So the question is, what is the best option to pay the repayment of the home loan to reduce the tenure or to increase the EMI amount?
Okay. First of all, we should identify why we are repaying this. Okay. So, and if it's second home or is it a first home? First home. First home, you got interest payment which is only limited to a certain amount. Okay. Now there, the cost of fund will reduce marginally. Okay, for the tax amount. So if you're earning more than the net tax that you're paying, sorry, net interest that you're paying, then you can continue the loan. Okay, but if you're not investing aggressively, you're parking your money in fixed deposit or a conventional product like fixed deposit insurance or a savings bank account, then you should start paying the loan. One option is paying one shot and finishing it off. If you have to partially prepay and you have some amount left, the best would be to not to reduce the EMI but reduce the tenure of the loan.
Thank you so much for your question. One final question on this episode of NSE Finwiz. If I can have the microphone to him, please.
Hi sir, I am Anant. I have a query that if you want to invest in equity, is it more beneficial that we choose to take a franchisee of a broker rather than directly investing?
Okay, see, unfortunately in India, the old stockbroker will encourage trading and not investment. Okay, my earnest request and urge, please do not trade. 95%, perhaps more, 98, 99% of the people lose money by trading, and so please do not trade and risk your money.
Mr. Roongta and Tanveer Alam, thank you so much for joining us on NSE Finwiz, and all of young professionals here at KPIT Noida. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for watching.
Before this session, before the conversation, I knew nothing about investment, but I think I'm gonna be investing a lot in equity and a little more understand a little more about mutual funds.
This entire program has been very informative. The best part about this program was it was interactive. It gave a lot of knowledge to a layman like me who does not know how to invest and where to invest.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.